And we are off to Skywalk. So on our left we have Ripple Lake, named for the ripples it makes in the wind. That is where we get our drinking water from. It's a thermal spring-fed lake, so it's perfect for drinking. And on our left here we have Sunwapta Lake, which, even though it's a really pretty lake, a nice blue comes from the rock flower that's in it. The bad thing is the rock flower is also a natural laxative, so it's not so great for drinking. But it is very pretty and has a nice little parking lot if you want to go there and relax after your tour. It also has a connection to the hiking trail that leads to the very toe of the glacier, which is a really nice spot to take pictures in. And also on our left here, this is Mount Snowdome and Dome Glacier. So Mount Snowdome is a very special mountain as it's on the Triple Continental Divide and is also a hydrological apex. So if you were to pour water down that mountain, it would flow into 3 different oceans. That's the Atlantic, the Pacific, and the Arctic Ocean. And as we cruise along here, we'll be following the Sunwapta River all the way to Skywalk. This river is very unique as it's also called a braided river. So that means there's many different little channels and little islands. It kind of looks like a maze. That's very common around the glacial landscapes and steep mountainsides due to the water level constantly changing. The water level changes all the time because it collects all the runoff from the mountainside and because the glaciers are melting. So this river gets very high in the summertime and it gets very low in the winter. It's also a geothermal river. So it does continue underground where the water will heat up, it'll come back to the surface where it will cool off once again. So there are certain parts of the river that do not freeze in the winter time, which is great for the animals as they'll have a source of drinking water in the winter. And to your right and a little bit to your left, you'll notice we're surrounded by a lot of rocks and boulders. This lets us know that we have entered the shooting gallery. At one time, they were all part of the mountain to the right of us, which is Mount Wilcox. And they fell down because of a process called the freeze and thaw cycle. So what happens is that water will get into the cracks of the rock to loosen up the rock, but then that water will freeze, which will keep that rock glued to the mountainside. And it's not until that ice thaws that the rock becomes completely loose and goes tumbling down and shooting across the road. But thanks to Parks Canada, they keep an eye on the mountain for us. They do a survey about every 2 years where they look at all the rocks on the mountainside. If they find any loose rocks, they'll just kind of knock them over. But if they do find any real big ones, they will shut down the road. That way when it comes down and ends up in the middle of the road, they can just kind of pick it up and move it to the side while keeping everybody safe. And also on the left here, this is Mount Kitchener, and as you go around the bend, you'll be able to see the famous Kitchener rock slide. The last rock slide happened back in 2013, that's that light gray area. The darker area happened about 10,000 years ago. Each time it completely changed the landscape, especially the river. It turned it into a big giant lake, and the water had to work really hard to push its way through the rocks to become a river once again. And we know the river pushed its way through the rocks because of the V-shaped it formed, which you'll be able to see and learn all about at the Skywalk up ahead. So just going to disappear behind these trees for a little bit. The rock slide is also famous for 2 other things. One of them is fossils. Every time there's a rock slide, there's a lot of fossils that become unearthed. And you'll have fossil hunters that'll head out and they'll go digging through the rocks to take pictures of fossils. And they'll find some as old as the dinosaurs sometimes. Now they can only take pictures because to take a fossil out of the park without a permit, that is a $50,000 fine from Parks Canada. Another thing that rock slides are famous for is they're a habitat for a little critter called the pizza. They like to make their homes in the rock and they love the cold. They're my personal favorite as they were the inspiration for the Pokemon Pikachu. And welcome to Skywalk. If you like, Skywalk offers free personalized guided tours if you're interested.